Hey everyone, and welcome to this final video tutorial for Kontakt 5. Um, this tutorial is literally just a brief roundup of everything that we've done throughout these video tutorials, and give you a quick idea of how to save your project. So, starting off, you'll recognise this drum kit from one that we've been working with before. So, kind of brief recap. Started off introducing you to the Kontakt player. You know, where you can find your samples from, the kind of user interface that we have been using. Introduced you to bringing in a default instrument that you can start building in. I've shown you the key map editor, which is this button here, the mapping window. I've introduced you to how to bring in samples and where to put them and how all that works, as well as velocity switching on the key map editor. I've also introduced you to this window here, the wave editor. In here we've been looping samples or changing out samples and how they play back with here, you know, the one-shot feature that we've got. Then briskly or quickly moving on, I introduced you to the group editing feature, which is back up here, bringing in different groups, how to have two groups on the same key working differently. So with the group start options here and the round robins, or for example here with the hi-hats, I've introduced you to the voice group and creating an exclusive group to get two samples playing not at the same time. Then throughout section 4 I was showing you how to add effects to your groups. So yeah, started off with these group insert effects here, and I showed you some distortion, some EQ, compression, so on and so forth. Then moving on to sending a signal out from the group amplifier via these two post amp effects here, and sending them down to instrument send effects, which will then send the signal back into the amplifier. This was more for your time-based effects, so your chorus, your reverb, delays, that kind of thing. I then showed you how to add modulation to the amplifier, group modulation. So we brought in an LFO and started affecting the group that way, as well as source modulation. If you remember rightly, I was pitch dropping a kick drum with the use of pitch bending and envelope filtering and so on and so forth. Then we took an overall view of how to add effects to the entire instrument by using our group faders here. Again, everything or anything that we did on this affected the entire instrument. So it would be good for adding excuse me, it would be good for adding reverb to an entire patch, an entire instrument, or something like that. Then in section 5 I told you about switching between groups, and we looked at switching by just pressing a key on the keyboard to access a different group. and then I progressed on to switching between groups using the mod wheel. So that's kind of everything that you would need to basically know to build your own instrument. There are a lot more features within Kontakt. For example, for anyone that is into their coding, there is a script editor here. If I just bring up a preset for now, just bring in a delay sequencer. To be honest with you all, I haven't really used this very much at all. I've literally been using this just to bring in samples so that I can play back and mess around that way. However, you can open this edit window down here, which will show you how everything is coded. And for those of you that feel inclined, you can go into this a lot deeper and start designing your own coded effects. That's not 100% necessary for just building an instrument, but it's there if you want to. So now finally, it's come time to start looking at saving your instruments. And I'll give you two guesses as to where you start with that. If we come up here to this floppy disk icon and click on that, it will come up with Save Edited Instrument. As it was a default instrument that we've edited, that's what we want to click on. So if we open that, I'll ignore that for now. So this will be the window that you're presented with when you save. You've got three options here. Patch only is literally what you've done inside the instrument. It doesn't include any sounds. Patch and samples is just that. It's the patch and samples. If you're coming back to the same computer and the samples are on there, it's all great. You don't have to go and look for them. However, if you take your instrument away to a different computer where the samples aren't saved, then you have to go back and find them. Finally, we have this monolith feature here. Now this will save everything. All your samples, all your instrument effects, everything that you've done within Kontakt on your project will be put into a big folder. If you're if you're working on different machines, then this is quite handy to have on a little flash drive, but it does take up a lot of space. So ideally, if you're giving your instrument to someone to use, you'd use the monolith. That means they won't have to go and look for their samples. If you're just using it for yourself on the one machine, just go with the patch and samples. So I think that is pretty much it. If there's any more questions or anything that anyone will want me to elaborate on or anything like that, please feel free to leave a comment. I will do my best to try and answer it. If there's any other tutorials that anyone would like me to start doing, again, leave a comment. I will try my best to start working on those. And I just hope that this tutorial, or these series of tutorials, have been of use to some of you. So go forth, use Kontakt, be creative, and yeah, have a mess around with it. Enjoy yourselves. Take it easy.